This is from the Petty Corner. I'm Petty Diana, and I have Pono, the Hawaiian Assassin, Pow here with me. He is coming off a big win at Power Slap 10. Welcome to the Petty Corner, Pono.
What's up? What's going on, dude?
How are you? It was so great to meet you and your wife finally in person.
Right, it was great to meet you too. That was an awesome event.
Yeah, it was. I had great seats. I was in the media room. I was really nervous, but I was there. I showed up for you guys.
Right. You had good questions. I liked it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was super nervous because I do this all the time, but it's not like in a room full of people
Yeah.
and like recorded on the Power Slap page and UFC page, but it's all good. So this was your first live event. Explain to me like how you were feeling going out there. Were you nervous? Because I know you were on the show, but it wasn't like a packed arena like that.
Yeah, so very first time being on a live event. Originally we didn't make it to the actual live card. So I was actually on one of the lower, the non-televised or the prelim fights. And at the very last minute they bumped me up to be able to be on that main card and me and Cooper to, go and perform with the rest of the champions up there, and it was an amazing experience. The nerves did kick in. So I had it, kind of building up to the fight where, we're in the hotel, we're kind of walking around, we're doing all the media things, and there were some little nerves here and there. But as soon as the door closes and everything else is ready to go, and I'm going out onto the main stage and kind of prepping up, and I got to talk to Coach Trujillo in the back and really just ask him little key questions like, hey, you know what, like, how's that feeling, that experience of like when you start to walk out there? And he's like, dude, it's like no other. So from there I kind of just prepped myself up to, it, getting ready for the experience of being in front of a whole bunch of people in a big crowd like that. And yeah, the advice that he gave me was key. Stay focused. Make sure you understand what's going on and be coherent the whole entire time. But stay calm, stay collected, and just go out there and just have fun. So that was the big one. That right before I go out there and I start walking on the stage, I and just watching back to like doing the review of the fight, I looked at myself and I was like, man, this guy is really calm as he's walking out there on the stage. He's really collected. He's not really extending for anything. And it looked like I've been on the stage many times before. So it was a great experience.
You looked really comfortable up there, and I don't think we'll ever see you on a pre-recording because you are for sure a main card guy, and you showed that like your performance up there, and just like your energy and everything that you put into it. The heavyweight division showed out, and your division is so exciting, and so many great matchups to be made and look forward to.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, what drove your decision to do right on one?
Well, it's always been, so that's always going to be my decision every single time. It's part of the style, it's part of the technique. It's something that we've implemented into our style early in the stages of Power Slap. And originally, I created the lean on one nation. And that's, basically like the technique that we use. And you see it in my brother, you see in a few other fighters that are, going out there and being able to showcase their skills, is that they've adopted that style as well, where you have that real slight lean over, depending on which side you're hitting with, the right side, the left side, but you have a lean over to where you're on the opposite side of that person's body, then pulling all the way back and continuing through with the slap. So originally we started training that style and technique before Power Slap even came about into our lives, and before my brother made it on Power Slap 7. And as we got into the season 3, we were able to showcase that with other people. So you see like how, Darren Godfrey, he goes out there and he now has that lean on one style. Bryce Jones, he's another one that's up there doing the lean on one. Raiden started to implement that into his style as well. And it's not just the lean. There's other smaller intricate features to the technique of the slap and the biomechanics of the slap that you have to put into play as you're, going through the whole entire process. But the style, it's made to adjust for the striking, the people that are, obviously giving the strike back to you, and you got to be on a defensive side. It's meant to try to form to what is going on right there, right in that moment. And it's like you can make a change up in that style. It's not so much change up on the swing, the number, right? You always are going to go on one, but there's small things that you can do with time delay. So you can hold back a little bit on your time while you're, cranking up or getting the hand ready. You can position yourself while you're holding the person's face. You can kind of let it sink into them, right? Because I think with Cooper, as I did the whole placement, I remember having a conversation with him after at the after party where he was like, "Hey man, what did you do when you were like doing this thing with your hand and you kind of went around your head and you went, And I was like, "Well, dude, I do that setup every single time." He goes, "Well, you know what? That thing was so like that caught me off guard." So you know that these little key things that you do, it works in your favor. And he said that just that setup was something very surprising to him. So he was like, "Oh man, when I saw your hand go behind your head and then extend to my face, I started to freak out." So, I mean, just like that, just the little key things like that could, potentially leave you with a good win, a good victory, a good knockout. So,
Yeah, that's a prize factor. But yeah, Anthony Blackburn has been going right on one forever, and he's the champ. So I think you're onto something here.
oh yeah, yeah, and he's doing great with that too. He created the right on one army. So it's like it's big. You know what I like about that style is that a lot of people will say, "Hey, we don't like going on one just because the fact that you know you don't get the accuracy, you don't get to really find out where your placement is on the face, and by the time you return it might not be there all the time. But if you have somebody that really practice it, really hones in the skills, really really puts in the hours, it's a simple thing to do a slap. But if you put the time, you put the effort, your consistency is on point, and just putting in the hard work, it's going to play out for you. It's a very hard style to catch or technique to catch just because the fact that it's on one. So you gotta be prepared.
Yeah, and there was when I did the recap video with Chelsea Dotson, she was saying like if you go on one, like you don't overthink things because sometimes when you're winding up like two, like your brain's just going and then you overthink it and you're thinking too much. Where at one, you just kind of just go. So
Yeah, you just give it. So that's true too. She's got the right mindset. It's like, hey, you know what? If you do two, you do three, it's kind of a little bit too much. It's like, but if you go on one, you don't give yourself time to overthink things. You just immediately go through and you finish it. So it's a good style.
yeah. I was so excited to see you use your right hand. I know we talked about this in the post show, but maybe some people didn't listen to it. But you on the show you broke your pinky and your hand was in a cast, so that was your dominant hand. So you went with your left hand, and I knew you was dangerous with that. And then you showed just how much more dangerous you were with your right hand, and I couldn't wait to see it. I was excited to see it, and you ended up getting the crazy knockout. So, do you want to
All
talk
right.
a little bit more about that? Like, that was your first time striking with your right hand, right?
I mean, yes, yeah. So first time being able to use the right hand, it was relieving. I had a lot of concerns about it, and it's stuck in the back of my mind about the pinky being fractured and going out there. I was like, okay, well, I need to. If you watch, I need to harness all the power of God and ask Him for the help that I need to kind of go out there and be able to make sure that this thing. I already knew that the right hand was accurate. I knew that it had power, and it's the same thing like we said from previous, right? During season 3, and I had to do it with my left hand. And I when I fought James Seekman, it was like, hey, you know what? I wish I had the ability to use my right hand. And now looking at that, I really believe that during the season, if I had the ability to use my right hand to deliver those hits, it would have probably changed a lot of the outcome of whatever happened. And I'm not going to take anything away from James. I mean, he delivers a solid slap, and he definitely put me out. He definitely knocked me out. So I can't say anything about that. But would have the right hand made a difference? And that's what I really think back. And it's like, yeah, it would have. It definitely would have made a difference in the season, and showcasing it now on Power Slap 10. Not to take Cooper lightly, he came off of a knockout from Stevie Ray Payne that just, he left that in the dust with everybody. They were like, wow, that was an amazing knockout from him. So can't take lightly on his performances. He's done really good. He stood up with Logan, so that was amazing too. And I just knew that the right hand was going to deliver some accurate, godly power in it. And you could see it. As soon as I was a little bit angry just because of the flinch call, and I mean, given, I see now looking back at what they were looking at, I can understand that, me closing my eyes and me clinching down at the same time like that does draw the head to go straight down. So it might have made that, difference of the shift in the move. And typically I think about more of like the flinching as a dip of the head or a positionary, like your chin. If your chin moves from that position in any way, shape, or form, if it's still solid and straight, then it's kind of, questionable, but everything else outside of that line should be a flinch. That's what it is. It's like you're shifting and moving your head away from the blow, you're shifting and moving your head towards the blow. Those things should be considered as flinches. But, you know, take the flinch, go out there, take another slap, and that second slap as I'm speaking to the referee, I kind of like touched him on his ribs a little bit and was like, "Hey man, you know what? It's like, I get it. You called the flinch. It's like, but I love you, bro. And you guys can ask him that now. It's like, I literally looked at him. I was like, I love you, bro. Don't worry about it. It's like, just tell me where to stand, tell me how to brace, and tell me where you need my chin to be. And he was like, yep, stand right here. I need your chin up. And as soon as I lifted my chin, he was like, right there, keep it. And I was like, okay, I got you. I got you. And I already had the confidence that I was going to be able to eat that thing. I mean, Cooper comes with power, and we understood that. And that second hit, I think when he saw me eat the first hit, and then he was like, "Oh, okay, well now the second one I got to make count." And then the second one I eat, it kind of might have played into his head a little bit, like, "Oh, okay, well I gave that one all my power. If that was all his power, it's like I gave it all to him." It's like now he ate that, and now he's coming back, and then I wish I took back a little bit some of the things, but in the moment you're stuck into that drive and the competitive, that competitive drive of like, man, you just hit me, now I'm gonna get you. So,
Yeah.
I did call him a
The
bitch.
adrenaline and everything too.
I did call him a bitch at the time, and it was like, but all respect, it had nothing to do with Cooper, and even with the referee, it had nothing. It was just a really bad call, and I thought that it was a really bad call. So now my emotions start getting to me, and now it's like I try to keep as calm as possible, but it comes out. So, but it was an amazing fight, and that was a good person that I went against, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It was a good opener to what is the future of Power Slap. What's about to come to this thing. I really want to make a statement out there. I really want to go out there and not only just perform like that, but also show that everybody can change their lives somehow, some way. There's a small piece of God in all of us, and as long as we know how to unlock him, as long as we know how to use him, he's gonna work for you, not against you. So I really wanted to make that very clear and well known. I that everything goes back to God. God powers this, he is my lighthouse. He's the person that I'm looking at every single time when things jump in my path or try to get in my way. I always make sure that the lighthouse is at the very end, so that way I know, that like this is my path, this is my journey, this is where I belong, and this is what I should be doing with my life, is not only just performing and fighting on a power slap stage, but helping others, helping others adjust the way they think, the way they move in life, and what they're doing now currently, and how can their life get better. And I really wanted to. The lean on one is not just a style and a technique. The lean on one is like, you can lean on me. You know what I mean? If you have problems, you have issues, I might have the solutions that could help you get over those problems, could get over those trials and tribulations, and push that aside. And all it takes is asking, or all it takes is a question, and it sets it off from there. So the lean on one, when we say lean on one, it's on everything. It's not just a style or technique, but it's also like, I'm always here to have somebody lean on me and ask me questions, or when they're going through struggles, I'm always there for everybody.
I love it. So a couple things to piggyback off that. Well, let's start with the flinching thing. So I feel like every ref sees things differently, so it's like perception as well, because like
Hmm.
if someone's movement, like one ref would call it and then one ref wouldn't, but if the placement is still perfect at the slap, they shouldn't have to call it, you know what I mean,
Hmm.
because that's what the
Hmm.
rules say. But I guess it just comes down to perception. But
Correct.
we were talked about James Seekman, and you were using your left hand. Maybe they need to set up that rematch.
Yeah, I mean, and me and James, he wrote me already, and I've talked to him, and even at the event, walking around after and kind of shaking hands with everybody and talking to all the people that were in the crowd, I ran into James, and I mean, it's so heartwarming to see him and like really connect with him after the season and after him going to Abu Dhabi and putting on a great performance with Nate Bernard. It's amazing to see his growth. So now I see him in the stands, and he immediately jumps up and he's like, Pono. And I'm like, hey, what's up, brother? I give him a big hug and I introduce him to my wife. And, like, that's all it is that it's love for James, So I know that he has a bright future ahead of him and he has a strong chin. So he's going to last a long time in this sport. And he just got to keep on doing his best and being the best version of himself. And he's going to go out there and really rock some bells, and no pun intended, but, but he's gonna do some amazing things, and when I get to see him like that, I'm like, oh, okay, you know, now he gets to see, and there's always a little piece that plays in my head of now he saw what the right hand could do. And now, like, is it still the same? I always have that like, is it still the same? Do you have still the same feeling that the right hand wasn't a big factor? It's like now we have to test that, and
Yeah, we got to get the answers to those questions.
but we want, and then when I talked to James, it was all love. So it's more of, we really want to let other people come into play. And the rematch is always going to be a rematch. This is a small ranked sport. There's only 10 top, so we're not going to have a lot of like people jumping in and taking spots or doing anything else. So we're not, and I'm not going nowhere, and I know James is not going anywhere. So we can definitely set up the rematch somewhere later on down the line. But for now, I think he needs to, it's God's path. He needs to go on his way and battle the people that he needs to battle, and I need to battle the people I need to battle. And then hopefully when everything is all settled and the dust is settled, then we can look at a rematch and see what it is from there.
Yeah, maybe for like a number one contender match or a championship match. Who knows?
I love it. I
We'll have
love
to
it.
just wait and see. But when do you want to come back? Like, do you have a time frame? Like, are you ready for Saudi Arabia, or you kind of just want to sit out for March, or just you're just waiting for a call?
So healing wise, everything is good to go. I mean, I had a light rat underneath my eye, so the bruising and everything else here, I still have it a little bit, but it'll go away eventually. The hand was a little bit bruised. That's gone. No pain. So physically, I'm ready. Mentally, I'm ready. The next match, the next event, I'll be set and ready to go. I don't think Saudi would be ideal for how this path is kind of playing out, but I did, I've been just like anybody else, you have manifestations and you have visions and everything else, and I've to say it right now, it's like I've envisioned something that I feel is the perfect matchup. And even if it was worth the value or not worth the value, who cares? But I feel like it's the perfect matchup, and I would jump on here and I would say it, but I want to keep it. I want to keep it. You'll see my little things as I post and go along. It's like I feel like that's the route that this needs to go, just because of the way and the path that I'm on right now, and I it's going to be an amazing fight, the next one. So not for Saudi, but I'll probably be set and prepared for Power Slap 12. So
Love it.
March.
You are ranked number 5. So could you give us a hint though? Like, is it above you or below you?
Oh, it's above me. It's always above me.
Okay.
It's
Well, there
always
you guys
above me.
have it. I narrowed it down for you.
Yeah, right.
Well, Pono, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. Like I said, it was so wonderful to meet you and your wife in person. It was such an amazing performance, and I cannot wait to see what's next for you. And I can't wait to see you back on that stage.
Same for you and same for your family.
Thank you.
All
And then for
right.
those of you tuning at home, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, all that good shit. Stay petty, bitches.
Stay petty.
Yes.